I'm going to teach you how to print on index cards. So here's just a couple of examples of index cards that I've done just recently. I tend to use index cards quite a bit, and my students have also started using them quite a bit. You can actually fit quite a bit on an index card, and I wish I had you in front of me. I would show you how we use them and how big these are. These are actually 4x6 index cards, and what I like about creating on index cards is they're very cheap. So for $1 I can print 100 of them. There's lines on the back, and I generally print on the blank side, and then on the lines on the back we can add added notes since students have lines already. So here is my PowerPoint, and this is just a normal PowerPoint that I've just opened. Now I am on a Mac, and if you're on a Windows, it's pretty much the same. Your tools might be in a different place, but it's the same process. So I've got my PowerPoint open, and right now this is just a standard 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper. So I'm going to change that. I'm going to go up to File and Page Setup, and that's what you want to find if you're on a Windows. So File, Page Setup, this little tool comes up. You can see 10 by 7.5, and what PowerPoint does that I really like is it automatically takes off an inch, and what that does is that provides you with 1/2 inch on both sides. So when you create something in, I'm going to cancel this, when you create something in PowerPoint, you can come almost all the way down. I wouldn't go totally down, but you can go, that far down, and it's not going to cut off. So it's one of the nice things in PowerPoint. So I'm going to go File, Page Setup, and I'm going to go I want to do a 6x4. So I'm going to show you this first. 6x4. That means I have to, if I leave it here, I have to leave a little bit of an edge. So what I generally do is go 1/2 inch smaller. So if I'm doing a 4x6 index card or a 6x4 and I want this to be wide, I'm going to go 1/2 inch smaller. So 5x5 by 3.5. Okay. Then I'm going to come to Options, and you'll see Page Setup, Page Attributes, Format 4. You're going to choose your printer. Now, not every printer will print index cards. Both of my laser printer and my office printer, my OfficeJet will. But this is where you're going to find out whether it will or not. Generally, if you have a place on your inkjet printer where you can put in 4x6 cards for printing photos, then you can print index cards. So when I come to HP 8100, and by the way, this is the best printer on the market. My ink lasts forever. Most of my students buy this. I've bought this printer at for my office at NDSU, and it's the ones that the students use. And I actually only, for as much as they use it, I only refill the ink once every semester. So it's been wonderful. Anyway, paper size, it says US letter. That's 8.5 by 11. But when you select your printer, then you get all these different options. And when I scroll up, see I have 3x5, 4x6, 6x8. So I have lots of different options. I'm going to go 4x6. And you can go borderless, and then I could have my thing left at 4x6 or 6x4, but I'm just going to take this 4x6. Any of them will work. And I'm going to say OK. Okay, and then I'm going to say OK again. If it asks you this, don't fix it. Just say OK. And sometimes it will and sometimes it won't. So now you can see how big my page is. And when I go to my format, oh, I'm sorry, I need to go to Layout, and I'm not. I need to go back up to File, Page Setup. Sorry, I was thinking I was in Word for a minute. File, Page Setup, 5x5, and when I click on Options, HP 8100, 4x6. Now I can switch it, and I can go the opposite. Actually, I can just do that here. Now it's 4x6 or 6x4. So whichever way I want it to be, but it's in File, Page Setup, and I'm going to go back to this. Then what I do is I take my layout and I always make it blank. I never start with anything other than a blank page in PowerPoint because I have all of these tools. So I can click a rectangle, or maybe I want to do a star. I know there's a star in here. Maybe I want to have star students. So I create a star, double click on it. I can change the fill. Let's make it bright yellow. The line, I'm going to make that yellow also. And it has a shadow. So now I've got this star. I'm going to make one for each corner. So I'm going to copy this. So on a Mac, it's Command C. On a Windows, it's Control C to copy. And then to paste, it's Command V on a Mac and Control V on a Windows. The other way you can do this is to right click and copy, and then right click and paste. And same here, copy, paste. Now I want these on the bottom to be lined up. So if I hold my shift key down, and it doesn't matter whether you're on a Mac or Windows, hold my shift key down, I can select both of them. See, I have this arranged, and you might have it on a Windows in a different location. But you'll still have it, and you'll have align or distribute. This tool allows me to align, so I can align the top, the middle, or the bottom. And sometimes I mess it up, like I'll mess it up right now. It puts it on top of each other, and you just do a Command Z or Control Z to undo that, and then just do it again if it messes up. So I'm going to line the middles. That way they're perfectly matched on side to side. I'm not going to have, where this works out is if you have one like this and one like that, it will put them together. So arrange, align, align middle. And then I might want to bring these both up. And I'm just using my pointer to do that. So now I have stars. I'm going to go back home. Whoops, I turned my ribbon off. And I'm going to get another rectangle. And I'm going to draw in that rectangle. And now I want to click on all three of these again. And I want to align them through the middle. See how that moves it? Now these are all perfectly matched. I double click on that rectangle, and I'm going to do no fill, but the line, I'm going to dash it, and I'm going to make it a fat line, and I'm going to make it red like that. Now I'm going to put a text box in here, and I'm going to type in star student. And if I bring this over to this edge and this over to this edge, and I center it, it'll be perfectly centered in between these two. And now I'm going to change the font. And because I have a whole bunch of fun fonts on my computer, what I normally do, and because I have so many, I don't know, I just do a spin, and then I have to pick something that's in there. It's the only way I make it work for me. So let's try that. Oh, I didn't highlight the whole thing. And I'm going to make it 20. I can actually go bigger. 26, and then I might need to bring it up in there a little bit. So star student. And then maybe I want to put in another box and what they did. So double click, no fill. I can change my line on this. Maybe I just want a light shadow line. And by default, PowerPoint puts a shadow on it, so I'm going to take the shadow off. I might actually dash that a little bit. and then I can put what they did in there or anything else that I want it to do. So that's how to do and mess with index cards in PowerPoint. If you want graphics, I usually go to Pinterest or Teachers Pay Teachers, or I do an internet search for free teacher graphics. I usually have pretty good luck just on Teachers Pay Teachers for the free ones. So I can find some of these different graphics and I can just drag and drop them in. So maybe I want this one, and I'm actually just going to right click and save the image as, and save it to my desktop. So now I can come over and maybe I want to do a birthday one. And so now I can go new slide. So maybe I want a birthday. So there's my birthday cupcake. And maybe it's going to be a coloring sheet. So I can do a drag and a drop, and I have my folder here. I have some teacher graphics, and these are all off of Teachers Pay Teachers. I sat one night and went through them and just grabbed a few that I liked because I was making those other index cards, so you should notice the pencils. So maybe I want to put a star there. So I can grab that. And generally you can resize it, but if I'm going to put 2 of these stars, I want them to be the same size. So I can get it the size I want. And then, but what if I want to put in this one? And I want this one to be the same size as this one without having to spend a whole bunch of time messing with it. If I double click on this one, see, and I've got format. So if you're on Windows, you'll have to go to the format. 125 by 123. I click on this one, 164. And I think this was 125 by 124, and that one's by 123. So I can just change this, and it's just because they're a little different. So now, take that check mark off if it keeps not resizing. So now I've got, I still did it, 124 and 123, but I can make this 124. So now they're both the same size, 125, 124, 125, 124. So I don't have to worry. So that's a really, it's kind of a nice thing to be able to do. And remember, I can go pretty much out to the edge. Just a little bit of space. Now if I wanted to align these again, it would be align and middle. And you'll see it's in a different location than it was before, and I did it wrong. I need to undo and undo. So again, to do index cards, go to File, Page Setup. You can just ignore this. It's just going to be on custom. You change it. I usually leave 1/2 inch. So if I were doing, this is a 6x4. If I were doing a 3x5, I do 4.5 by 2.5. Then I'd come to Options, format it for my office printer, and then choose 3x5. Say OK. Look at it, say OK. And now it did smush them down a little bit, so I might have to do a little bit of fixing on that. So that is how you use PowerPoint to create slides. Now when I go to print, I go File and I go Print. Have my printer. You'll be able to tell if it's not right because it will be on a big sheet of paper with this in the middle. So you'll have a lot of blank space right here and a lot of blank space there. But if you're not sure, go to your page setup and do a double check with those options and make sure it's set up. So that is your tutorial on how to create index cards in PowerPoint. Enjoy.